How about the effective way of overcoming the barriers of that 30% vocal minority that absolutely is opposed to having their Coke machine taken away? Or even changed, or other plans that may look like they're controlling what they get to eat?
So that's a really good question. So some employees don't want any infringement on their privacy or their right to choose. And my answer to that is you can reframe the choice without taking any choice away. So here's a nifty thing that USAA did. I believe, Phil, you mentioned that in the vending machines, the price differentials between the healthy stuff and the unhealthy stuff subsidize the unhealthy stuff. What they do with all their vendors is they flip that. Not only did they flip that, they actually changed the way that the healthy and unhealthy stuff is situated in the machine. So the closer I get to the machine, the only thing at eye level I see is juice, water, and like granola mix. The other unhealthy choices are actually out of range when I step up to the health machine because they're either at the top or the bottom. Something like that, you're not taking away anybody's choice. You're just reframing it. Imagine, just to take an analogy, the public education system, right? We know that there's a lot of bad food in there because schools have to buy in bulk. But what if we put the healthy food first? So the first thing kids see when they walk in is the healthy food. You're not causing any strain on the budget. You're not taking away French fries or burgers. You're just changing the way people perceive their choice. That's my answer to that. There's a lot of literature now on what's called the field of behavioral economics, and it basically takes kind of microeconomics and blends it with decision psychology and sort of a lot of what we've learned from kind of the world of financial planning and retirement education. And it basically talks about the fact that people, when they make decisions, take mental shortcuts because there's a lot to process, there's a lot that's unknown, and people are busy. It's really about making that work in your favor, because right now it works in the favor of making the unhealthy decision. So someone made the point about, our healthy food isn't clearly labeled. Well, what USAA did is they actually branded a behavior called Eat Right. They just have a slogan that says Eat Right. And then every healthy item in the cafeteria, they select that slogan by the item. So it just makes it knee-jerk now for employees. They don't have to do any thinking. They know that's the Eat Right. The brilliance of that is it's simple. It's easy to remember. And it's something that you can do, whether you're at work, with your friends, at home, whatever. You don't need to be in a formal program to eat right. So I think that there are things that you can do like that to change the way people perceive their choice. And I think that's why the environmental piece of this is so, so important, because it's really about reframing the way people see their choice. Does that answer your question?
Oh, we could take it to deeper levels, but that's...
Does that work for you? Okay.
Sure. No, those are good tips. Those are definitely good tips.
And there's actually a checklist on our website from USAA of policy changes they made across each of those 4 behaviors. And they actually, just as a bit of an aside here, they have a chief medical officer, so they're a little bit more of an enlightened organization than some others. But they've taken each of these 4 behaviors that you see on the right of page 30, and they've created their own sort of brand around them. So they basically have 4 slogans, which is don't smoke, be active, eat right, and get prevention. And anytime they have a wellness-related communication, you can bet that one of those slogans is on communication. So if they have a map in their campus about how many miles you've walked, if you walk the campus, they have the be active slogan on the map. So again, they're just triggering devices for employees. Let's get, I think, to an issue that pretty much all of us have raised as a challenge, which is how do we get the managers on board? So managers are scared that if their people are out doing wellness, that they're not serving customers and being productive. And what we found is actually a variety of organizations have created either formal, meaning hard incentives, or informal mechanisms to drive manager support. And I think part of the lesson here is that a lot of times managers are going to be like, well, if you're asking me to do something, that means that I need to figure it out and redeploy my resources, and that's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time, and the organization is asking me to do 50 other things. So what is the linchpin of all of these is that each organization has figured out what are the things it wants to focus managers on. And those can be, just a set of very simple targets, like the next round of biometric screenings is coming up. We're going to have an agency-wide competition to see which work unit has the highest percent of their folks take the biometric screening. And we're going to publish those numbers. Now, I as a manager, one, understand that signal because I'm being measured on it. And two, I don't actually have to think all that hard or redeploy or find additional resources to make that happen. I can go do it and take my employees with me. I can talk about it ad nauseum at my team meetings. I can send an email around with our score and how we're doing against other units. It's not requiring a lot of work on the part of the manager, and that's the key. Because the organization is already having them work hard on lots of other things. So if you make it easy for them by focusing them on a handful of things and things that they can do as part of their day-to-day work that they would do anyway, like write an email to their employees, then you've just removed the biggest barrier to getting them involved. And you see here that there's several organizations, including some of the very traditional cultures like Union Pacific, Dow Chemicals, organizations that you would maybe think of the Surface Sloan Exchange, that sort of thing. And there's different ways you can do this. You can use competition and publishing performance. You can use the exercise of writing performance objectives, which Dow is doing, in business planning. You can use a monetary incentive, which 3M does, which gives them a bit of a kickback to managers' operating budgets if their units hit certain targets around wellness. So there's a lot of food for thought here, and hopefully some tips that you can apply in your agencies. Anyone experimenting with putting managers on the hook?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, within my division, we've actually used the governor's health poll as our foundation, and the way to take the work off of us is we challenged other units to walking or exercising, and we got them all to sign up to the governor's health poll because we know they'll manage the website, and they have all mechanisms in place to track everything. And then I send an email out to one particular individual who responds back with the numbers and who's won and things like that. And then, there's incentives there.
Yep, so you're creating a setup because it's going to be known who's participating and how well they're doing.
And then we really badmouth them, and that worked really great because that just motivates.
That will work great because at the manager level, a little bit of constructive criticism can work. That's fair.
It is downright dirty.
And the managers don't have to do anything except rally their people.
Exactly.
Which they should need to be doing anyway because it's part of their job. That's great. I know you all sort of talked about it in the breakout groups, but are there any sort of policy changes that groups are considering or that you've made in order to eliminate barriers to healthy behaviors at your agencies? Be that by taking up the vending initiative or the healthy foods initiative in the cafeteria, or maybe even others